leadership development, getting feedback from our colleagues and reflecting on our experiences and practice is very important. We asked leaders in development to discuss some strategies that they can use to do this.
Now, the first thing I'd share about as a leader, being a reflective leader and gaining feedback from your colleagues, and I'd say especially from, as a manager, what the kind of feedback that's most important to me is the feedback from staff who report to me. But that takes a real investment to build the trust of those staff who report to you. I think all of us either are or should be a little bit uncomfortable with giving critique or criticism to our boss. In order to be able to do so, we need to, as a manager, need to build the trust and the confidence in our staff that they can give that kind of feedback and create the safe spaces for them to give that feedback as well. So one area where I do look as a strategic opportunity to get that feedback is during staff performance appraisals, which may seem a little ironic since that's about me assessing them. But if I've done my job in the months and possibly years prior to that in building up that level of trust, and after I've been able to share some feedback about that staff member's performance, I will always use the opportunity then to expressly ask staff reporting to me, as you've observed me as a manager, what should I be doing differently, and what am I not seeing in the team dynamic that I need to know about? So it actually kind of eliminates their pressure to give positive feedback, and it explicitly gives them the space. I'm explicitly asking them for constructive feedback, and so there's no fear. It sort of takes the fear away from providing that negative feedback. And in fact, as long as I'm managing the dynamic well, I can express my appreciation, my encouragement for giving that information that otherwise I wouldn't. And that, every time I've done that, has really opened my eyes to things that literally I hadn't seen in the team dynamic, that I didn't know that I was getting wrong or I could be doing better. And so that kind of feedback's been really constructive.
Good leadership comes down to knowing yourself. And I think to really know yourself, you have to reflect on your experiences, and that also includes getting feedback from your colleagues. You can do that in so many different ways, not just in formalized discussions with your supervisor, but even through just taking time to be quiet and reflecting on the things that you've learned that day or what you could have done better. And you can do that in any kind of job, not even if you're in a so-called leadership capacity. And that'll also, I think, stem into helping you feel grateful and acknowledge what other people are doing well. And actually, when you're praising your colleagues or giving them help, they can see that you want to learn from them, and maybe they'll give you feedback as well. And I've seen that especially with some of the younger staff who may be reluctant to ask for feedback, but if you've established a good relationship of trust and support, then even they can give you feedback and support as well.
Where I've had, for example, mission visits in the different places where I have worked, spending some time out between 8, even after 5 o'clock or over lunch, going out with lunch colleagues, getting to speak to people and not making the conversations during the social hours just about work, but differently, getting to pick people's ideas in terms of the country, political situation. So you get to know somebody from a different perspective. So that when you work with them, that element of a rapport has been built, a relationship has been built, and it's easier for them to communicate to you. So that's communicate with you. So that's what I've been trying to build as my first basis, so that even when it comes to the element of giving feedback, somebody's open enough to give me feedback in that sense.
I think that's one of the core things that I've learned as a development professional, that to be a reflective practitioner is absolutely key. So this began when I started doing work with a local nonprofit in Pakistan. And my mentor and the boss who compelled me to pursue this as a career, this was one of the first things that she taught me. And the examples I can give you from all the countries that I've worked in is that I've learned in every position and every context that I've worked in. Whether I was sitting in an office in London, or as a consultant in the US, or in a field office in Kenya, the intention was always to sit and reflect on what I have done. So part of this, I can say, was to be very introspective, to look at myself as someone who is not a high achieving professional, but someone who's learning on the job, someone who's able to pick up on how to do this while you're on the job. And I think that also relates to the fact that I didn't have any prior education in this. I came from a business and journalism background, but I learned this profession while on the job, and I had very good mentors. So an example I can share is from Jordan, when I had 2 field officers who were reporting to me, and they were new to the profession. They did not have any prior experience related to the work we required of them. But this is one of the core things that I taught them, and I learned myself because they were locals and I was still an outsider. So my job was to learn from them and to reflect on what I was doing best, but also to teach them that, look, you can do whatever I'm asking you, but sit back and then analyze it. Did I do it right? Was there a way I could do it better? Was there something that I might have been doing wrong as their supervisor? So I think part of that reflective practicing work is core to what we do as development professionals.